You're killing me, Smalls. For those of you unfamiliar with that movie, with this quote, first off, I'm sorry for you. But this quote is from the classic movie from 1993 called The Sandlot. And this movie revolves around this kid, Scott Smalls, who moves to a new town and tries to meet other kids and other friends by playing baseball. And the big problem that happens in the story is they're playing baseball and they need a ball to play. And so he goes home and grabs a ball from his dad's trophy case. And he thinks it's just a normal ball. However, he later discovers that this ball that he stole and they played with was actually autographed by Hall of Fame baseball player Babe Ruth. Yeah, pretty bad. So when the other kids, it's funny, when the other kids find out in the group, when the other kids in the group find out what this ball is, who signed this ball, they are filled with awe at the fact that this ball was signed by someone so special, and it's a ball that they've seen, and how Smalls, as he's called, he's so careless because he doesn't realize what's in front of him. He doesn't realize the priceless treasure that's in front of him that's autographed by one of the greatest baseball players of all time. And so he just uses it and hits it over the fence playing baseball. And I tell you this story because this kind of speaks to our experience of when we come into the presence of something priceless, of something very valuable, that often moves us to awe. Like, wow, this is in front of me. This is a great treasure. So something that's precious and valuable, we need to show it the proper respect. Not for any other reason than it's good for us. It's good for us to show respect when respect is due. And in our first reading, God reveals himself to Elijah in the tiny whispering sound. And it says that as soon as Elijah notices that the Lord is passing by, which is a very rare occurrence in the Old Testament, but when he realizes it's God, he bows down, he covers his face, he shows reverence for God because he realizes who is in front of him. And noticing God's presence and showing reverence is actually good for Elijah. God is God with or without Elijah's worship. God doesn't need Elijah's worship, but it's good for Elijah to show respect for God because God is all-powerful and all-glorious and the giver of everything. So Elijah is filled with awe, and this awe doesn't just leave him as he is. This awe moves him to show an outward manifestation of that reverence with his body, with his actions, and so he covers his face with his cloak. And in our gospel, we hear about the apostles fishing, and the few details they tell us. It says that they're the fourth watch, which is between 3 and 6 a.m., and it's totally dark, and they're a few miles offshore, and they're in the middle of a storm. A lot of not very encouraging details there. So it's the middle of the night, they're in a storm, there's no shore in sight, there's in this huge storm, and they see Jesus, and they're scared, and they think it's a ghost. Jesus tries to quiet their fears. He says, "Do not be afraid, it is I." And if we look to the original Greek text used here, Jesus says, "Do not be afraid, I am." And that phrase, "I am," that would have been a very loaded term to the apostles because that's referring to when God reveals himself to Moses in Exodus 3 in the burning bush. God says, "I am who am." So Jesus here is making a divine claim. Jesus is saying, I am God. But the thing is, he's saying this while performing this miracle of walking on water. And then when he gets back into the boat, he calms the storm. And the disciples are awed at this, not only at what just happened, but also he's able to silence the storms just at his word. And the apostles are filled with such awe that they are moved to worship him. They are moved to show reverence to him with their bodies. And so it seems to me, this seems to point to my own response. What is my response when I encounter Jesus? What is my response when I encounter what is holy? Do I marvel at the fact that the God of the universe comes down at Mass to encounter me in the Eucharist? When I come to Mass, is it just another day? Or is it something special? Do I really believe that the Lord is here to encounter me today? Because if I do believe that, which hopefully we can all get there, that moves me to show reverence, to show respect to him with my actions, with my body. And when we think about it, this can get very practical. And so, some questions I might ask myself, how am I dressed? Am I dressed because I know that I'm going to something special? Or am I dressed because it's just another day and I'm going to the gym? Do I pay attention to the readings in the homily? Or do I just zone out? And when I receive Jesus in the Eucharist, do I receive him reverently and consume him immediately after he is placed on my tongue or in my hands? And there's some exterior things that we can do to help foster this reverence towards the Lord, but it's also interior. When I come to Mass, do I bring everything? Do I bring my joys, my sorrows, my struggles? What do I bring to Mass? What intentions am I bringing to Mass with me? Or am I just trying to meet my Sunday obligation? As always, the Lord gives us free will, so he's not going to force us to have this experience of his love at Mass. So he wants us to cooperate with him. And so there are things that we can do to help foster that attitude of reverence for the Lord, but he won't force it on us. He will never force his love on us. And the Lord is here to encounter us today, and he invites us to treat this different than anything else that we experience in our life. The actions that we do with our bodies can help us to realize that this is something special. This is something special, and we can be filled with awe at this encounter with the Messiah. This encounter, which all the prophets and everyone in the Old Testament could have never foreseen anything like this. Anything like this. And so as we come to Mass today before the unbloody sacrifice of Calvary, let's ask the Lord to send down his Holy Spirit upon us to fill us with that awe and reverence to give to the Lord, which he is due. Because once we fully realize who is before us and who we're about to encounter, our natural response is to bow down and worship.